Hi students, this is Mr. Yao. In this lesson, we're going to continue to learn more about composition of functions. We're going to go up to 3 terms. So first, prior knowledge. We have a function that has 3 terms, and we're simply just plugging in things for now for the prior knowledge. So when we see f of negative x, that means wherever we see x, we're going to need to replace it with a negative x. So we have a negative 2, and then a negative x squared plus 5 times negative x minus 4. And I have suggested whenever you see square, write it twice. So we have a negative 2, then negative x, another negative x. 5 times negative x is a negative 5x with minus 4 on the end. And then after you write everything out, this is where you can start counting how many negative signs you have. 1, 2, 3 negative signs. So when you combine all of them, that's going to leave us with one of them. Then 2, x times x is an x squared minus 5x minus 4. There you go. That's f of negative x. Now let's do f of x minus 2. That means anywhere we see x, we replace it with x minus 2. So we have a negative 2, and it's going to be x minus 2 that's being squared. And don't forget this x is also after the 5, so also need to replace that with a x minus 4, x minus 2, and then a minus 4 on the end. We see square, so let's write it twice. Negative 2, then x minus 2, another x minus 2, plus, let's simplify this already, 5x minus 10, minus 4 on the end. And this is where you can choose to either deal with the parentheses first, or you can multiply the negative 2 in. That's going to give you a negative 2x plus 4 inside the first set of parentheses, and x minus 2. And then we still have 5x with a minus 14 on the end. I already combined the negative 10 and the negative 4. Okay, and then for this, I'm going to use the string method. So negative 2x with x is a negative 2x squared. Negative 2x with a negative 2 is a plus 4x. 4 and x is a plus 4x. 4 and negative 2 is a minus 8. And we still have the plus 5x minus 14 on the end. Simplify everything. Negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 5x. That's a plus 13x. Minus 8 minus 14 is a minus 22 on the end. Now let's move on. F of 2x plus 5. Same thing, wherever we see x, we're going to replace it with a 2x plus 5. So negative 2 stays, and the 2x plus 5. We already know that part is going to be 2x plus 5 squared, so let's already write it twice. And then we have the plus 5 times 2x plus 5, and don't forget the minus 4 on the end. Okay, since the previous one, I actually did the string method. Well, this one, after I distribute in the negative 2, I'm going to do the box. So it's a negative 4x minus 10, and then 2x plus 5. We can already simplify everything on the back. 5 times 2x is a 10x. 5 times 5 is a 25, and a minus 4. So I'm going to do the box. Negative 4x and a negative 10 is a 2 by 2 box. And 2x and a positive 5. 2x times negative 4x is a negative 8x squared. That's still something that a lot of you keep missing. So 2x times negative 4x. 2 and negative 4 is a negative 8. X with another x, that's going to become a x squared, not just an x. 2x times negative 10 is a negative 20x. 5 times negative 4x is a negative 20x. 5 times negative 10 is a negative 50. Okay, so let's write everything out. We have negative 8x squared minus 20x minus another 20x minus 50. Then we have plus 10x plus 25 and a minus 4 on the end. Let's put everything together. We have negative 8x squared, negative 20x, and a 10x is a negative 40x. Negative 50 plus 25 is negative 25 minus a 4 minus 29. Something else, if you choose to actually deal with these two together, so let's say you actually multiply those together, and you got a 4x squared plus 20x and plus 25. Let's make sure you're not forgetting you still have this negative 2 in the front, so you do need to distribute in that negative 2. So that's something I want to mention. So that's prior knowledge. Let's move on to the examples for this lesson. Number 1. Things are exactly the same, it's just now we have one function having 3 terms. That's where things get a bit more complicated. So for this one, because G is the more complicated one, then of course Goff and Gog will be a bit more challenging. So let's actually do the fog and the FOF first so that I'll have enough space on here. So let's start with fog. Fog is f of g of x. So that means I need to replace the g. So keeping the f, my g is negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x. And now I'm going to need to focus on my f of x, replace the x with that negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x. So negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x with a minus 3 on the end. If you open the parentheses, that 3 is just going to cancel. We have negative 3x squared minus 2x. There you go. That's fog. Next, FOF. FOF is going to be f of x. So first, we're going to need to replace the one on the inside. So keep the f, and the f on the inside is an x minus 3. And then we're going to focus on the x. So wherever we see x, now is going to be x minus 3. And we still have the minus 3 on the end. So simplify, that's x minus 6. Okay, now let's deal with the more complicated. Gog is going to be the most complicated. So let's start with Gog. Gog is g of f of x. So that means wherever I see first I need to replace that fx on the inside. So it's going to be g of x minus 3. And then I'm going to focus on my g of x. Wherever I see x, it's going to be replaced with an x minus 3. So negative 3 in the front. And I already see it's x squared, so I know this x minus 3 needs to be squared. So it's actually a negative 3, then x minus 3 squared. So I'm going to write it twice already. Then I have a plus 3 and have a minus 2x. Don't forget, you also need to replace that x with an x minus 3. So there you go. That's what we would have. And for this one, I'm going to actually do the string method, but I'm going to distribute in the negative 3 first. So that's going to give us a negative 3x plus 9. And then we still have the x minus 3 plus 3. On the end, I'm going to distribute already. Negative 2 with an x is a negative 2x. Negative 2 with a negative 3 is a plus 6. In the front, I'm going to do my string. Negative 3x with x is a negative 3x squared. Negative 3x with negative 3 is a plus 9x. Then we have another plus 9x. And on the end, we have a minus 27. And plus 3 minus 2x plus 6. So that's going to simplify to be negative 3x squared. Plus 9x is 18x minus 2x. So plus 16x. Minus 27 plus 3 is negative 24. Plus 6 is a minus 18. Okay. Last one, the most complicated one, is Gog. So that's why I left enough space. G of x. Okay, so first, I'm going to need to replace the inside g. That is negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x. Okay, now I'm going to start writing. Wherever I see x, I need to replace x with that. That's why it's complicated, because it's 3 terms already. So I see negative 3, but then I have x squared. I need to replace that x with a negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x. Since there's a square, I need to write it twice. And then I have the plus 3, and then I have the minus 2. Replace the x on the end with a negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x. There you go. So it's quite complicated. I'm going to distribute in the negative 3, and then I'm going to do the box. Since it's going to be a 3 by 3, so box is probably going to be a bit more organized than string. So we have a 9x squared minus 9 plus 6x. And then we still have the negative 3x squared plus 3 minus 2x. I'm going to simplify the back though. So plus 3, and then negative 2 times negative 3x is a plus 6x squared. Negative 2 times 3 is a minus 6. Negative 2 times negative 2x is a plus 4x. And now I'm going to do the box with these. It's going to be a 3 by 3 box. So I have 9x squared, negative 9, and a positive 6x. Negative 3x squared, positive 3, and a negative 2x. Let's multiply negative 3x squared times 9x squared. So negative 27x to the 4th power. 3 times 9x squared, 27x squared. Negative 2x times 9x squared is a negative 18x cubed. Keep going. Negative 9 times negative 3x squared is a 27x squared. So we have a negative 27. Negative 2x times negative 9 is a positive 18x. 6x times a negative 3x squared is a negative 18x cubed. 3 times 6x is 18x. Negative 2x times 6x, that's a negative 12x squared. So now I actually need to write them all out to my like terms. So negative 27x to the 4th power minus 18. Well, I'm actually going to put everything in order. Well, just go by order. So plus 27x squared minus 18x cubed. That's the first row. Then plus 27x squared minus 21 plus 18x. That's the second row. Minus 18x cubed plus 18x minus 12x squared. That's the third row. Don't forget everything you have on the back. Plus 3 plus 6x squared minus 6 and plus 4x. Let's simplify. First, the 4th power, so it's negative 27x to the 4th power. That's right there. I'm going to cross it out. Then I'm going to look for all the cubes. A negative 18x cubed, another negative 18x cubed. That's all the cubes. This is a minus 54x cubed. Then I'm going to look for all these squares. 27x squared, 27x squared, and a negative 12x squared. So 27 is 54. Minus 12 is 42. Plus a 6, so plus 48x squared. Let me cross all of them out. Now I'm looking for the x. 18x, with 18x, that's 36x plus a 4, so that's plus 40x. I can cross these out. Eventually, just the numbers. Negative 21 with a positive 3 is going to be a negative 18, and then a negative 6, so the minus 24 on the end. And that is the most complicated one of all the composition of function we're going to do this year. So that is example 1. Moving on. Example 2. Well, this is where things get a bit easier because we are going down to 2 terms with 2 terms. So it's basically more practice. I'm going to ask you to pause here and try example 2 by yourself. Now that you have tried example 2, here are the answers that you can actually have a look and check. There you go. You can pause here. So now let's move on to example 3. Example 3, fog. Well, F is the easier one, so this is not too bad. Fog is going to be F of G of X, which is going to be F of G of X, replace it, X cubed minus 2X minus 5. And now I'm going to focus on my F of X, replace the X with all that. So it's negative 3, then X cubed minus 2X minus 5. We still have a plus 3 on the end. Let's distribute. Negative 3X cubed plus 6X plus 15 plus 3 on the end. Simplify. Negative 3X cubed plus 6X plus 18. There you go. That's example 3. Not too bad. Okay, example 4. This one seems complicated, so I'm actually going to ask you to kind of pause here and try it. Hopefully you have tried it. Let's have a look. So that looks very complicated because there's like 3 function notations. But let's just follow the definition. First, I have the F right there. Okay, that's giving me 1 layer. And then I have the second one. So that's giving me another layer. And then I have the last one. And that's giving me the most inside layer. So there you go. And we're going to do exactly what we have been doing. We're going to start with the inside layer. That is X minus 2. So I'm going to keep that. And everything else, well, I still have this outside layer. And I still have the most outside layer. Okay. So now, in order to keep solving, that means I need to find out what is this. So let's actually go to the side and find it. F of X minus 2 That means you're looking at it, replace all of the x with x minus 2. With x minus 2, then minus 2, which is x minus 4. So when I replace that, I have an x minus 4 on the inside, and then the outside, I still haven't touched. So hopefully the color coding is helping you to see what's happening. So again, first, this f of x became the x minus 2, and then the f of x minus 2 became the x minus 4. Now I'm about to deal with the most outside layer. So this time I'm still looking at f. Anywhere I see x, replace it with x minus 4. So it's going to be x minus 4, then minus 2. So x minus 6. So see, it looks complicated, but the idea is the same. You just got to go to the most inside layer and start taking it apart one layer at a time until you actually finish everything. So that's example 4. Moving on, example 5. So this is the one that's the most complicated again, because we have FOF and GOG. FOF is already 2 terms and GOG is 3 terms. So let's get to it. FOF first. That is f of x. So I replace that inside. It's going to become f of negative 3x squared plus 4. So that means anywhere I see x, I'm going to need to replace it with a negative 3x squared plus 4. We have negative 3, then there's negative 3x squared plus 4 replacing the x. But since it has a square, I'm just going to write it twice already. Luckily for this one, the end is just a plus 4. We don't have an extra x to actually deal with. Okay, so let's distribute it in the negative 3. That's going to give us a positive 9x squared minus 12. And then we still have the negative 3x squared plus 4. Don't forget the plus 4 on the end. Let's still do the string method. 9x squared with negative 3x squared and with 4. So that is negative 27x to the 4th plus 36x squared. Negative 12 times negative 3x squared is a plus 36x squared as well. Negative 12 times a positive 4 is a minus 48. Don't forget the plus 4 on the end. Combine like terms, negative 27x to the 4th plus 72x squared. Negative 48 plus 4 is a negative 44. There you go. That's false. Moving on. GOG. That's the more complicated one because that has 3 terms. So g of x. Let's start with the most inside layer. So keep the outside, replace the inside with a negative 2x squared minus x minus 7. Now that means I'm going to need to look at g. Anywhere I see the x, I'm going to need to replace it with that. So negative 2 stays in the front. And then we have a negative 2x squared minus x minus 7. Since it's x squared is being squared, I'm going to write it twice already. Negative 2x squared minus x minus 7. Okay, then I'm subtracting an x. That also needs to be replaced as negative 2x squared minus x minus 7. Then I have the minus 7 on the end. Let's distribute in the first negative 2. That's going to give us positive 4x squared plus 2x plus 14. And then we have negative 2x squared minus x minus 7. Let's simplify everything on the back. So this is where you actually have like a negative 1 that's being distributed. So we have a positive 2x squared and a positive x and a positive 7 with a minus 7 on the end. So when it's a 3 by 3, I personally prefer the dual box just because the string, you're going to end up with 9 strings. It's going to look messy. So a 3 by 3 box. 4x squared, a positive 2x, and a positive 14. On the side, we have negative 2x squared, a negative x, and a negative 7. Let's start multiplying. Negative 2x to the second power times 4x squared is negative 8x to the 4th power. 4x squared times negative x is a negative 4x cubed. Negative 7 times 4x squared is a negative 28x squared. 2x times negative 2x squared is a negative 4x cubed. And then 2x times negative x is a negative 2x squared. 2x times negative 7 is a negative 14x. 14 times negative 2x squared is a negative 28x squared. Negative x times 14 is a negative 14x. And lastly, 14 times negative 7 is a negative 98. Let's write down everything in order. Negative 8x to the 4th power going by rows minus 4x cubed minus 28x squared, that's the first row. Second row, minus 4x cubed minus 2x squared minus 14x, that's the second row. Third row, minus 28x squared minus 14x minus 98. Let's not forget everything we still have on the back. So plus 2x squared plus x plus 7 minus 7. There we go. Lastly, combine like terms. Let's start with the fourth power. We only have one of them, negative 8x to the fourth power. Then the cubes, a negative 4x cubed, another negative 4x cubed, so it's negative 8x cubed. Squares, negative 28x squared minus 2, so that's negative 30. And then another negative 28, so it's negative 50. Oh, actually, negative 30, negative 58, and then plus 2. We have a negative 56x squared. And then the x, we have a negative 14x, another negative 14x, so negative 28x plus an x, so negative 27x. Lastly, negative 98 plus 7 minus 7 is the 0, so it's going to be a minus 98 on the end. And that is the last example for this lesson, and that's everything. Thank you.